VJ Edgecombe just walked into the NBA, looked at the Boston Celtics, looked at a packed garden, and basically said, yeah, I'm cool here.
Timing coming from the weak side.
Doesn't miss their last 5 shots. VJ Edgecombe doesn't miss that.
And the crazy part, he wasn't lying. We just watched one of the most ridiculous debuts you're ever gonna see from a first-year player. 34 points, 7 boards, 3 assists, 50% from the field. A win on the road against a team that thinks it's winning the East.
It's Edgecombe again, off the heel, rebound Watford. Edgecombe! It's like he's got a trampoline at all times.
That's not a nice start, that's not a promising sign, that's the type of entrance that makes the whole league stop, double take, check basketball reference and go, hold on, who is this kid? This wasn't empty stats and garbage time. This was real, loud, meaningful basketball. In a 117-116 Sixers win over the Celtics in Boston, VJ Edgecombe didn't play like a rookie. He played like a problem. Before we start, if you love basketball and you're one of the 90% who watch without subscribing, it's time to join the NBA Inside family. Click it and let's live this season together. Let's start with the history. With that 34-piece, Edgecombe now owns the highest scoring debut by any Sixers rookie. Read that again. Allen Iverson did not do that. He passed AI's 30-point opener. That alone is crazy, but there's more. He also broke a LeBron James mark for most points from a rookie in their first ever first quarter. LeBron, as in the guy usually at the center of every youngest to do X graphic we've all been force-fed for 20 years. And as if that wasn't enough, 34 points in your first career game, that's the third highest debut scoring night in NBA history. The only 2 guys above him played when the league was still in black and white. Frank Selvey in 1954 and some guy named Wilt Chamberlain in 1959. If the only people ahead of you are Wilt and a guy your grandpa watched, you're doing something right. But what made this special wasn't just the record sheet, it was the way he did it. The poise, the attitude, the refusal to look rattled. There was no I'm happy to be here energy, it was all I belong here, which honestly feels insane given the situation. First game on the road in Boston, national TV, the Garden crowd doing the Boston thing, and instead of looking nervous, VJ looked like he was hooping at an open run on a Tuesday. That's not how rookies act, that's how scorers act. And here's the part Boston fans aren't gonna enjoy. He had zero fear letting it fly from deep. Everybody's pre-draft concern with him was the jumper. Can he shoot? Is it real? Will teams just play off him? Well, he took 26 shots in total in his first NBA game, and 13 of those were threes. Most first-year guys are scared to shoot 5. He took 13 and hit 5. That level of confidence is its own scouting report. He's not waiting for permission. And I know we're hyping the scoring, but what made it different from typical rookie heat check night was that this wasn't heat check basketball. He wasn't just catching fire and chucking. He was playing in control, playing inside the flow, picking his spots, finding the lane, not forcing it. That's the part that makes you pause and go, oh, that's sustainable. And when people talk about his mentality after the game, it just reinforces it. Reporters asked him, basically, are you aware of what you just did? And he's sitting there like, it's basketball, I just hoop, don't overthink it. That's not fake humility, that's how guys wired for this talk. That's Anthony Edwards energy. This is fun, not pressure, which is a perfect time to bring up the comp that's already floating around. He looks like Anthony Edwards. And yeah, I get it. The burst, the power, the I'll go through you or over you, your choice thing. The way he talks like pressure's just noise. It's not perfect, nobody's saying VJ is Ant already, but you can absolutely see the mold. Same kind of frame, same first step, same willingness to go right at stars like they're just numbers in a jersey. You watch him and it's not hard at all to picture him becoming one of those guys that gives us a highlight clip every other night. Like the kind of guy who makes you stop scrolling and go, wait, what did he just do? The kind of guy kids try to imitate at the park. That's where this can go. And I'll be honest with you, I literally grabbed this jersey already. Not even kidding. Retro Sixers black, because obviously. And it wasn't just because it's clean. It was because I had a feeling with this dude. He had this might age well energy. And now, bro, I might have accidentally invested. Now here's where the story goes from cool debut to, oh no, this might change the Sixers immediately. Because while the rookie was flaming Boston, the other part of the story was doing something just as important. Tyrese Maxey quietly walked onto the floor and reminded everyone, "By the way, this is my team now." Maxey dropped 40, in the building that loves nothing more than to watch Philly suffer. He tied the franchise record for most points in a season opener. He hit 7 threes. He ran the show. He controlled crunch time like a vet. And in the process, he and Edgecombe combined for 74. 74. That's the most points a backcourt has ever scored in their first game together in league history. Let's just sit there for a second. Year after year, people talk about the next elite backcourt. Are they in Cleveland? Are they in OKC? Are they in Sacramento? The Sixers might have just rolled out theirs and didn't even bother easing into it. They basically kicked the door in and said, "We're already here." Here's your twist. Here's your hook. Here's the thing every other team in the East needs to start worrying about. Everybody spent the last few years asking, how do we build a winner around Embiid? What if the real question now is, how do we build around Maxey and Edgecombe? I'm not saying Embiid doesn't matter, he absolutely does. When healthy, he's one of the most dominant players in basketball. He warps coverages just by existing. Even in this game, on a minute's limit, clearly not moving like himself yet, the Celtics were still sending help. Still tilting the floor, still treating him like a flamethrower in a trench coat. That gravity alone gives everyone else a runway. But this version of the Sixers, you can feel the handoff happening. Embiid isn't asked to hold the offense anymore every possession. He's not being asked to face up, jab step, jab step, jab step, collapse into 2 defenders and carry the whole city on his spine in December. The plan now, let Tyrese Maxey be the engine. Let Maxey dictate tempo. Let Maxey break you down one-on-one and pull from 29 feet like it's a free throw. Let VJ be the pressure valve, the slasher, the downhill chaos, the guy who kills single coverage. This is massive because it gives Embiid something he's barely ever had, the ability to just be a matchup destroyer instead of an every possession bailout. He can pick his spots, punish mismatches, anchor the defense, and save his body for April and May. That matters when you're trying to extend the superstar's prime and not burn it out. And then there's the Paul George layer. We all know the Paul George conversation at this point. The talent is obvious. Two-way wing, legit scorer, can be your closer from the perimeter, can defend elite matchups and make it look calm. The only question is availability. If he and Embiid are both on the floor even at 75 to 80% of their peak form, Philly suddenly looks like a team you don't want to see in a 7-game series. Because here's how that maps out in the East. If the Sixers are healthy and land in the 5 or 6 range instead of sweating the play-in, they absolutely have a first-round puncher's chance. Orlando, winnable. Atlanta, winnable. Milwaukee, depending on which Milwaukee shows up that day, you don't have to talk to me into that being a real fight. Cleveland and New York are more disciplined, harder to out-tough. But if you steal a first round, if you're playing with rhythm, if the young guys don't blink, if Embiid finds his mid-season form at the right moment, now we're talking conference finals as a realistic ceiling. And if you get that far in the East, anything can happen. We've seen much less complete teams than this make deep runs off timing and health. Let's also talk about Maxey for a second, because the leap is not subtle. He was already at 26 a game last year. That's star territory. But this version of Maxey? This is different. The handle looks tighter. The range is basically logo adjacent. He's not just fast, he's composed. Young guards with that first step usually play at 110 miles an hour and pray. He's playing at 110 when he wants to and then jogging when he needs to. And that's scary. And defensively, he's not a cone. He's competing. He's using his quickness on both ends. He's getting into guys. He's causing problems at the point of attack. You give me a small guard who can score 30 and doesn't get hunted non-stop into fourth. That's a playoff guard. So here's where Philly is right now as a program. I'm saying program on purpose. This doesn't feel like some one-year lightning strike. This feels intentional. You've got Embiid, who still bends the entire geometry of the court just by showing up. You've got Maxey, who looks like he's stepping into true my team status in real time. You've got VJ Edgecombe, who just ripped through Boston like it was an AAU scrimmage and made NBA history in his first professional shift. And then potentially, you've got Paul George orbiting that as the veteran wing who glues it all together on both ends. Is this group going to win the title right now? Probably Probably not. That's still a huge ask. You don't go from first steps to a parade in one season. But can they win a round? Yep. Can they scare anyone they face after that? Definitely. Can they plant the flag that says this is our next era without any confusion about whose hands it's in? That might have already happened. That's the quiet headline. For the first time in a long time, this doesn't just look like the Joel Embiid show. It looks like an identity. And the wildest part, we might have watched it get born in one night. So let's end with this. If Maxey Edgecombe is actually the future backcourt of the Sixers, and Embiid is still anchoring the middle, and George can give them veteran star production on the wing, what are we looking at here in 2 years? Because if this is what day one looks like, I honestly don't know how high the ceiling goes. I just know we're gonna need courtside popcorn.